Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today we are talking about lighting. First we will see how this scene was lit, and then we will take it into After Effects for some final tweaks. In this lesson I'm using Redshift, but the theory can be applied to whatever render you choose. So let's jump in and see what it's all about. Alright, so today we're talking about how to light this image, and I'm going to be running you through my lighting setup for this. Now this is not the most complicated lighting setup in the world, but it does have a few things that maybe you might not think would be in there. And that's not necessarily to say it's the right way, it's the only way, it just so happens to be the way that I did it. Now you could light this image yourself, maybe get the same results and do it completely different, but there's a few things that I did that maybe you might not think about doing, or just might not even know about, you know, like sometimes you get unexpected results, or you know, you think you're going to light it one way and then you get in there and it turns out you have to light it a different way. And that's kind of what happened with this one, which I'll show you. So that's what we're going to do. And just to give you a little background on the image, this is from an Instagram account that I have called Ladders to Nowhere. And basically, what I do, shameless promotion here, but basically what I do is I always have a ladder of some sort and I just fuck with it basically because I think it's kind of funny. Sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's just a guy who's doing this, like I just feel like being silly. So in any case, if you want to follow me on this page, I can't promise that I can't promise how often I'll update it, but this is kind of my playground, and it's kind of just shit that I like to do when I want to have fun. So anyways, that's where this image comes from. And all right, cool. That's it for my promotion for that. All right, so let's move forward. So this scene is, again, the setup. I just want to walk you through what we have here. So basically we have a couple rocks that are downloaded from Quixel. And if you don't use Quixel, use it. It's fucking awesome. I love Quixel. It's like the highest quality stuff that I've seen, and I promise you I'm not getting paid for it. I just like it. It's just really, really nice quality models on there. So what I have is a couple rocks from there, right? And so I just download them. The geo is really nice. So nice you don't even need to put displacement on it. It just kind of works. And then I have what is the moon here, which is just a sphere with a texture, and then the ladder. So basically we have essentially 4 objects in this scene. Now, your lighting is a lot of times only as good as your texturing, right? So it's good that it's a good idea to have high quality textures. And once again, with Quixel, they just have nice textures. They just fucking look great. So yeah, it kind of sets it up for you. So I have the Quixel textures on here, but then I also have the textures of the moon, right? So I found these like high quality moon textures online, like NASA or something had them, and you get it's got the diffuse, and it has a bump map, and then a displacement that is happening. So really nothing too crazy with that, but just high quality. You know, they're like 4K or something. So it's important to have good materials to start with and not like shit ones. The ladder itself is just a simple like aluminum or silver, I guess I did, and I just messed with the settings a little bit. So it's nothing crazy. It's just pretty basic stuff for that. So the reason why we're all here is the lighting, right? So for this lighting, what I wanted it to be was I wanted the moon to be, of course, the center point here, and I wanted it to be the main source of light. So when I originally came in, what I did is I actually set an area light that was an object or a mesh, an area light. You can come up here and you can go area light, and you can set it to mesh, right? And then I connected it to the moon. But I was getting results that I just wasn't happy with. They just weren't working for me. And I would have to go back in and retexture it with another pass, and I didn't want to do that. So then I started to look at other options. So I knew that I wanted the moon to be the center point. So what I did is I'm going to walk you through my lighting here, and let's just turn everything off first. I'm going to get this gloriously. There you go, it's done. All right, so that was a good lesson, and I'll see you on the next one. All right. So we have this, and this is obviously the base lighting. And then what I did is this is kind of unconventional. I don't even know why I did this to begin with, but it works. So I wanted the moon just to have like a clean, even light to it, because I knew that, I mean, when you look at the moon, that's kind of how it is. So what I did is I took a dome light actually, and I set the dome light to only influence the moon. So this dome light is right here, and it's from HDRI Haven, which is just all free HDRIs. If you don't use it, once again, use it. It's great. It's amazing. But again, it's cleanly lit, but it still has a little bit of like interest to it. So this is, I would say, pretty unconventional the way I'm doing this, but I think it's interesting to show this because it can still work, right? So I took this, and then what I did is I took that and I said only affect the moon. So now I have this HDRI that's only affecting the moon. I turned off the background. You know, normally it has, I think it normally has the background when you put it on. Anyways, the background's turned on. And so what's happening is this light in this moon, and the light from the moon is starting to spill off on this back wall, which is kind of nice. And then, well, it looks like it got moved a little bit. That doesn't matter. All right. So, and then the next thing that I did is I said, well, I like this casting on the wall, but I'd like there to be more. So what I did is I created a light that actually casts I create a light that actually casts onto the back wall. And I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but I was like, well, if the moon is a sphere, then why not go ahead and take this and make it a sphere? So I made a sphere, and then I made it cast into the back wall. So it kind of starts to kind of fill in this space a little bit more, and it also kind of brightens up the moon a little bit. It makes it feel like it's sitting in a little bit more. I left it white because I mean, for the sake of ease, the moon for the most part is white, we'll say. So this was getting good, but then I was like, well, I mean, I still feel like it needs something here, right? I have this foreground object, and it is getting light, right? But it's kind of like a dip. So I was like, it needs to be, where the camera's positioned, you need to feel this light being cast on this edge. So I said, all right, well, let's make a light that does that, right? So what I did is I took an area light and I positioned it just right behind here. So I'm going to turn this one on. And what that's doing, it's got a slightly blue cast, because I thought it would be kind of nice to, I don't know, it's always good to have a little bit of variation in tonality for your lights. It just makes it feel natural, especially if it's a natural color. So I thought that would be nice. So now when we come over here, we're starting to kind of get some more detail here, right? So we didn't have this before, but now it feels like it's actually kind of casting out on it in the back, or well, from the moon in the back. So it's bringing in a little bit more definition, right? But then I was like, all right, well, this is okay, but the ladder itself is quite dark. And the ladder, I mean, for the sake of what I do, the ladder is important. I mean, the ladder is it's what it is. So the moon is important, of course, but the ladder is also important. So I wanted to carve out the ladder also and kind of give it just enough shape. I didn't want it to be like too much. So what I did is I created a big area light, which you can see here. And this area light is kind of going, well, it's pointing at the ladder. I can't remember if it's only affecting the ladder. Let's see. Yeah, it's only affecting the ladder. So I have it set to the project to only include the ladder. But it's, it's kind of the length of the ladder too, because I wanted to kind of get some highlights and whatnot. So when I turn this on, you'll see that what it does is it just brings enough shape into this to actually help you understand what is there. Because right now the only light we have is kind of at the bottom, and yes, that might be technically real world scenario, maybe how that would look, but it just doesn't quite do enough for me. And then the last thing I did is I actually went to I believe it's the Wallcaster. Yeah, and I set the volume contribution scale to be a very low value, and then I turned on the redshift environment. And then that gives us just a little bit of haze that we didn't have before. Which I thought was kind of nice. So that's the lighting setup for this. And I rendered this, and sometimes this is where, I can't stress enough how important compositing is. And so I rendered this, and at the time I was like, oh, this is pretty good, I like it. But then a lot of times when you get in compositing, like, things just change, and you realize, oh fuck, I can make it a lot better. And that's why compositing is so important, because you can make it better 90% of the time. The other thing I did, sorry, I forgot about this, is I'm not a huge fan of doing this, but again, with the Instagram stuff, like, I just don't want to spend too much time, to be honest. So I turned on the bloom, and the bloom also kind of helps it sit in a little bit. Okay, so then back to compositing. What I did is I rendered this, and when I came in here, I was like, okay, well, this looks nice, but it's quite fucking dark. It's pretty dark, I would say. So I wanted to do something about that. And I always knew I was going to put like a subtle sky up here. So that's another reason why I didn't worry too much about how dark this was over here. So what I have here is I have my beauty pass. I didn't go crazy on the passes with this, again, because with the Instagram stuff, I usually just don't. But then I wanted it to be a little bit brighter. So what I did is I just came in here, very simple. I just raised the gamma up to like 1.06. Just take the middle. If you don't know, the middle is your gamma. And then I just lowered the blacks, raised the blacks a little bit, because like I said, it's never a good idea to have pure black. And a lot of times too, again, you think it looks okay in here, and then you get over there, but a lot of times too, you can adjust it in comp too. So that's all I did here. So basically all it's doing is it's making it a little less dark, and it's kind of brightening it up a little bit. Next thing I did is I wanted to put in a sky. So the sky, I knew I wanted to be very, very, very subtle. So with the sky, I have, if you guys don't use Unsplash, also another really great thing. It's all free, and it's like you can use it for whatever you want. You just have to, sometimes they want credit. So anyways, I knew I wanted a sky, and I knew I wanted it to be dusk. So I got something that I thought was kind of in that world. And what I did is I took that sky, and it's very low right now, but I'm gonna, boy, my computer is complaining. All right, so let me just up the gamma here. So you'll see that what I'm doing is basically I'm just matting it out with everything but the sky. So we have it, and I just have the opacity set to 6. So it's like really, really, really low. So you're just, once again, you don't have that like pure black. You just have something that feels a little bit more natural, kind of like maybe there's a city back there or something, or maybe there's something else that's happening. And then I also wanted to just add like a little bit of detail. So I took another sky and I just added it on top, and I put 8% transparency. So it's really nothing that's happening on there. It's very, very low, but I think it's nice sometimes just to have just a tiny bit of detail that's in there. And then the last thing I did is I still felt like it needed to be boosted a little bit. So I came in here, and I just kind of boosted everything, and I don't remember if I messed with the greens or anything. No. The blues maybe? No. So all I did is I literally, once again, I did another gamma boost. So before and after. And I think it just helps it sit in a little bit better when it's not so contrasty. And that is it, my friends. I hope that this made sense. I'm going to try to do more of these when I can, because I think they're fun, just to kind of open up the hood and show what's going on underneath the hood and how I got there and everything. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it helps you, and I will see you on the next one.